Hey guys, Octocool here, and welcome to another installment of Mystery History Gaming, the show where I cover the history of many popular games and many not so popular games. I know that the last 2 weeks have been pretty short, so this week I'm going to try my best to make it a little bit of a longer one. We'll see how it goes. But a lot of time and effort goes into making every single one of these. A lot of time, especially. So it would mean the world to me if you could just take 2 seconds and leave a like down below. So let's get started. This week we're going to be doing Bioshock, or the series of Bioshock I should say. Bioshock is a first-person shooter video game developed by Irrational Games, at the time known as 2K Boston, and published by 2K Games. The game was released for Microsoft Windows and Xbox 360 platforms on August 2007. A PlayStation 3 port by Irrational Games and Digital Extremes was released on October 2008, and a Mac OS X port was released by Federal Interactive in October 2009. The game's concept was developed by Irrational Games creative lead Ken Levine, while incorporating influence from other authors such as George Orwell. The game is considered a spiritual successor to the System Shock series, which many of Irrational's team, including Levine, had worked on previously. Bioshock is set in 1960, in which the player guides the protagonist, Jack, after his airplane crashes in the ocean near the Baysphere terminus that leads to the underwater city of Rapture. Built by the business magnate Andrew Ryan, the city was intended to be an isolated utopia, but the discovery of Adam, a plasmid which grants superhuman powers, initiated the city's turbulent decline. Jack tries to find a way to escape, fighting through hordes of Adam-obsessed enemies, such as the deadly Big Daddies, while engaging with the few sane humans that remain, and eventually learning of the Rapture's past. The player, as Jack, is able to defeat foes in a number of ways by using weapons, utilizing plasmids that give unique powers, and by turning Rapture's own defenses against them. Bioshock includes elements of role-playing games, giving the player different approaches in engaging enemies such as by stealth, as well as by moral choices of saving or killing characters. Bioshock received critical acclaim and was particularly praised for its morality-based storyline, its immersive environment, and its unique setting. It received several Game of the Year awards from many different media outlets, including from the BAFTA, Game Informer, Spike TV, and XPlay. Since it released, a direct sequel has been released, called Bioshock II by 2K Marine. The sequel to the 2007 video game, Bioshock, was released worldwide on February 9, 2010. The Mac OS X version of the game was released by Feral Interactive on March 30, 2012. The game is set in the fictional underwater city of Rapture. The game opens with a cutscene set in 1958, then jumps 10 years ahead to when Delta wakes up in 1968. 8 years after the events of the first Bioshock. The protagonist and a player-controlled character is an alpha series of Big Daddy, a human being that has been mentally conditioned to protect little sisters, which is amongst the first of its kind. The player-controlled character Big Daddy, named Subject Delta, who was previously paired with a single little sister, reactivates with no recollection of the past decade's events and scours the city in an attempt to relocate the little sister that he was paired with. Fearing this reunion will ruin her plans for the city, Sophia Lamb, the antagonist, sends out her spiced-up followers that she calls the Rapture family and new big sisters in an attempt to deter Delta. In 2010, the game was included as one of the titles in the book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. It also received numerous Game of the Year awards. A third game in the series, named Bioshock Infinite, was developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K Games. Previously known as Project Icarus in development, it was released worldwide on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360 on March 26, 2013. Bioshock Infinite is the third installment in the Bioshock series, and though it is not part of the storyline of previous Bioshock games, it does feature similar gameplay concept and themes. The game's concept and setting were developed by Irrational's creative lead, Ken Levine, who took inspiration from both historical events at the turn of the 20th century, as well as more recent ones at the time, such as Occupy protests. Set in 1912, during the growth of American exceptionalism, the game has protagonist Agent Booker DeWitt sent to the floating air city of Columbia to find a young woman, Elizabeth, who has been held captive for most of her life. Though Booker rescues Elizabeth, the two are pursued by the city's warring factions, the nativists and elite founders that strive to keep the city pure for Americans, and the Vox Populi, a rebel group representing the common people. Booker finds Elizabeth to be central to this conflict, and learns that she possesses strange powers to manipulate rifts in the space-time continuum. The player controls Booker throughout the game, eventually working with the AI-controlled Elizabeth. Like previous Bioshock games, the player uses a combination of weapons, gears, and psychokinetic powers granted through vigors. Elizabeth's own power can also be helped to use to fight hostile forces. In contrast to the limited space of the underwater city of Rapture, the open-air city of Columbia provides for more combat challenges, including the combat that takes place aboard the city's Skyline rollercoaster-like rail system. The game also features an optional 1999 mode, harking back to games like System Shock, where decisions made by the player will have a more permanent impact on the game. Bioshock Infinite received critical acclaim upon release. It was favorably compared to, with some even considering it had surpassed, the first and original Bioshock game. The game's plot and visual aesthetics were particularly praised, while the combat received mixed responses, with some praising its new additions and others criticizing its simplicity. Its theme of political and religious beliefs and use of excessive violent imagery have also received controversy. Bioshock Infinite won numerous pre-release awards for its display at E3, including Best of Show from Game Critic Awards. So that was this week's episode of Mystery History Gaming. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please drop a please drop a like below. A lot of time and effort goes into making each one of these. Hours goes into these. So I really would appreciate it if you could like the video. You could also suggest games for me to play, and I will definitely take them into consideration. It doesn't have to be a AAA title. It could be indie. It can be anything. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I've been I Octocool. This has been GamersKove. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.